Hey, it's Suzanne. It's February 21st, 2015, and it is a Saturday. And the bees have been running a little early this year than usual. The plants are maybe 1 to 2 weeks ahead of the bloom times that I recorded last year. So I'm going to go into the hives and see what's going on, make some splits if necessary. And I know that they already have flying drones. They've had flying drones for a couple weeks now. One of the hives has a lot of drones in it because I had a drone comb in there in preparation for the breeding season, and they had already hatched, laid and hatched a full round in that comb. So I'm going to take some video of the activity at the front of that hive. There are some drones hanging out all in a row earlier. It's just kind of neat looking. There's a drone right there getting ready to leave. Some of his brothers are leaving. Some of them are coming back for some food. Over here, I haven't been in this hive in a couple months, but I'm not a gambling woman, but if I had to make a gamble, I'd say this hive right here is the one that's likely to swarm early, or earlier than some of the others. And you can just tell by the level of activity when you compare it to the other hives. I mean, there's an enormous level of activity at this hive when compared to the ones next to it, and when compared really to any of the hives in the yard. I'm getting, I'm really in the danger zone right now where I'm at, and they're quite nice. I mean, I'm getting a couple that are running to. I'm having a couple bees run into me just on accident, just because there are so many hives here and I'm right in the middle of all the entrances. But they're in a really good mood for such a windy day. And I think for today I'm just going to try to go into these hives on these two stands. I really haven't looked at the past month and a half, past 2 months. So these I really need to check out. These down here, I have a pretty good idea of what's going on with them, but they're still on high swarm watch. Next weekend is the weekend that I've recorded for a few years in a row that I have swarm cells in my hive, so that's their favorite weekend to start swarming. So I'm going to see if I can just sort of head at least a little bit of that off. But the hive right here on the far left, that one I need to replace the queen. I'm not really happy with her temperament. And then also the boxes that are in need of repair. They're riddled with some kind of fungus, and they're just sort of falling apart. So I'm going to at least replace the one on the top, but really all of that equipment needs to be replaced. And so that's a preview of what I'm going to take care of today, and I probably won't film all of it, but I'll try to remember in my excitement and in my haste to at least film some of it. Oh, and that box in the middle right there with all those weird extra boxes on top, that is a double nuke box with supers. That I need to actually take, especially you'll notice the colony on the left middle looks a little more crowded than the other ones. I need to go in and I need to take those apart and at least that colony needs to go into a full box. And I'll probably put the other colony in a full box and add a frame or two of bees and brood from one of my stronger hives to boost the population. So I didn't film any of the process, sorry, but I transferred all the frames to the far left box into new equipment, and I found the queen. I was going to smash her, but there were approximately about 7 or 8 frames that had plenty of room to lay. There was no sign of them making swarm cells, and they weren't as mean as I had remembered. Still, I'm not going to use them. I'm not going to use her, obviously, for a source of grafting material. What I did decide to use them for is for the cell finisher colony. Since I already had them broken apart and I had already found the queen from last year, she had never been marked, so I marked her in green, which was last year's color. Since I already had all that done and I already had all the brood moved to one box and the empty frames to another, I went ahead, I put the queen in the bottom with the empty frames. I put a queen excluder in between the two brood boxes, and then I put the brood box on the top with all of the brood. There's a little bit of stores in the bottom and a little bit of stores in the top. And when I say top, I'm not talking about that green box at the very top. I'm talking about the two brood boxes, the top brood box. So what I'll do next week when I do my grafts, I'll have a graft donor. That'll be whichever hive I determine today is the healthiest and gentlest looking hive with the most stores and brood, and just my all-around favorite beauty pageant winner for today. I'll pick that one for the graft donor. That's where the genetics will come from for the queens. And then I will do a starter colony, and the starter colony is just a whole bunch of bees, a frame of comb, and some sugar syrup, and I'll start my grafts in that colony. The next day after they've been started, I'll take the cells from the starter colony and I'll move them into the finisher colony, and they'll go in the top box. And the reason to do that, if I left them in the starter colony, they wouldn't have, the bees will start a whole bunch of cells, and then once they decide, oh, we've got enough started, they'll actually abandon most of these cells. So they may start 30 or 40, and then they may only finish about 3 or 4. Studies have shown that, and I've also found in my experience, that when you move these cells to a finisher colony that's queen right, where the queen cannot get to the cells, they will finish pretty much every single one of them. And there's usually a couple of cells that for some reason had defects. Those they won't finish, but I mean, you get really, really good results with that method. So I'll move them into, this is going to be my self-finisher colony. I'll move them into the top box where the queen can't get to them. And can't remember how many days later. I have it on the calendar, but a little while later, maybe about a week after that, I'll move them into my mating nukes. All right, I'm going to start the process of moving these on the left into a new standard size box. That hive is much more popular than the sister hive to the right. So what I'm going to do to neutralize the populations, what I'm going to do to neutralize the populations, I'm going to move the ones on the left to a new location. I'm going to move the ones on the right into a new box, but keep them in the same location. What this is going to do is allow the forager population they're going to keep coming back to this spot, and they're going to boost the population of the weaker colony. And the stronger colony is going to be more resistant to this small move, which will set them back a little bit, but I think they're still going to be fine. I just need to keep an eye on them for the first few weeks, make sure they have plenty of food. All right, there's the queen. This is from the strong left side nuke. This is a queen I bred last year, and she's just hanging out, doing her job. And these bees are really calm, and I like them a lot better than the ones in the last hive that I worked with. Hey, it's Sunday morning. It's February 22nd, 2015, and I forgot to sum up what I was doing when I finished doing it, or I guess sum up what I did when I finished doing it yesterday evening. I just sort of wrapped everything up, went home and relaxed. I was very tired. So I'm going to go back in the woods and give y'all an update on what I did. Look at them go this morning. It's 9 a.m. and they are really putting on a show. It's nice and warm outside. And they are looking so healthy and happy. Listen to them in the air. They sound so great. So yesterday, some of the other things I did that I didn't finish talking about, I reversed some hive bodies. I got a friend landed on my hand. She's just cleaning herself. She really probably doesn't even realize that she landed on another living organism. Flew off. Anyway, so try to sum this up really quick because I have things to do. Okay, that center hive, it's got the dark green and then the light green, the white and the purple top. That one, I reversed the hive bodies. It had a lot of honey in it. And then one of the ones that I went into, this one on the middle stand on the far right, did not have any stores and had plenty of empty frames. So I took 4 empty frames from that one and swapped it with 4 frames full of honey from the center one on the end stand there, to help kind of neutralize stores and population and give that queen a little extra space to lay. I gave them a super foundation. I didn't put a queen excluder on because it has not been drawn out yet, and they don't seem to really want to touch anything above a queen excluder that hasn't been drawn yet. Later on in the season, I won't use queen excluders at all in any of my honey supers. Whether they've been drawn or whether they haven't been drawn. And that's because really I've noticed with my hives in our area, when you get into the April, May range, they've sort of, if they're going to swarm, they've already swarmed, and the queen doesn't seem as apt to wander around laying eggs everywhere. She seems to kind of like staying within the brood nest. Early in the season, if I don't use excluders, and especially if I put drawn comb on there, she loves to wander up. She just wants to move up in February, March, and she will lay eggs all in the honey super. So that's really the only time that I'll use a queen excluder underneath my honey supers. And let's see. Okay, this hive stand down here with a weird contraption on the front with the little knob, that's a pollen trap I ordered from Man Lake. When they sent it, it wasn't painted, obviously, and they sent the wrong size drawer, pollen drawer. They sent some weird cardboard thing that wasn't even close to being the right size. So I could have called and complained, but it seems like pretty much, I would say probably 30 or 40% of bee equipment, irregardless of who I order it from, has to be jerry-rigged to make it work, or has to be modified, or a missing piece has to be replaced. So sadly, that's just sort of something that I've gotten used to. They're pretty good. Man Lake is pretty good about sending the right equipment that I order, and functional equipment. So it took Brandon probably about 10 minutes to build that box, that drawer rather. So that was an easier fix than calling and complaining and waiting. Anyhow, and I reversed the hive bodies on that one and added a super foundation. I'm really tempted to reverse the hive bodies on the ones I haven't reversed yet, but I've got other things to do today, so that may wait till later this coming weekend. That's it.